name banished from the sign. The street smelled like lemons and rain. I stood under the awning of our little food truck, their food truck, now, and stared up at the new vinyl letters. Shining wet in the street light, Kira and CO, Street Eats. The blue hand-painted script that had said Salt and Sun for a decade. The one my sister and I brushed on with shaky hands and too much coffee was gone like a wiped chalkboard. The lock clicked behind the serving window. From inside, I heard laughter. Not mine. Not ours. Hello, dear listeners. My name is Layla. I'm 68. And what happened to me next is the reason I'm talking to you today. If you're new here, subscribe so you don't miss the next story, and tell me in the comments where you're listening from. It warms me to know how far a kitchen story can travel. People think betrayal roars in with fireworks. Mine arrived with stickers and a key copied without asking. My nephew Marco had been my shadow since he was 6, the year my sister, Samira, and I rolled our first batch of cum-and-scented meatballs in our apartment kitchen and sold them out the back door to construction crews. We saved for a truck, painted it ourselves, burned 2 pans beyond saving, and still fed a line around the block. When Samira's heart gave out 8 years later, I told Marco, the kitchen is yours if you want it. He cried into my apron and said he did. We kept going. We named the special after Samira's son's spice because her smile tasted like it. I made the blend with my eyes closed. Toasted coriander, Aleppo pepper, a little hint of lemon rind I dried on a sheet pan that had seen wars. My hands knew the measures, the way a piano player knows the keys. Then came Kira. She arrived one Tuesday with glossy hair and a phone that never left her palm. An influencer, she said, and a branding consultant, and a fiancé in this sentence after. She kissed Marco's knuckles like she could swallow his doubt and told me I was the heart of the brand. Which is what people say when they've already decided to cut you out of the meetings. She smiled at the regulars and called me Auntie, in a voice a little too loud. At first, I tried to see the good. She got us a feature in a downtown blog. She ordered new aprons, with the logo straight and the stitching tight. She said, we're elevating the story. I didn't know our story needed to be lifted a month later. She suggested we streamline the front-facing image, which meant I was to stay in back and not talk to customers. It's not personal, she said. It's optics. The first time she said optics, it felt like a stone in my mouth. The night the sign changed, I was carrying a bag of lemons and my ledger the fat, greasy notebook full of years of orders and recipes and notes only. I could read tucked under my arm the way a mother carries a sleeping child. The window was down, but someone had fastened the lock with a shiny new clip. I knocked. The laughter stopped. Marco's face appeared for a second, wide-eyed, then slid out of sight. Kira's voice replaced him, smooth as tempered chocolate. Layla, she sang, we're in a soft relaunch meeting. We'll call you tomorrow. My phone buzzed while I stood there, rain pooling in my shoes. A message from Marco. Auntie, we have to target a younger audience. We'll always take care of you. Please don't make this harder. Please don't make this harder. Like I was a sticky label they couldn't peel clean. I walked home in wet socks and cut lemons for nobody. I sat with my ledger and Samira's apron folded on my lap and cried until the cat came to press his forehead into my shin. Then I wiped my face and called my oldest friend. Come over, said Henry, from the bar he's run for 30 years. I'll pour tea hot enough to burn your doubts. In the back booth of Henry's bar, he listened while I poured out the whole bitter pot. They changed the sign, and, I said, they changed the sign like I never held a brush. Henry leaned forward, elbows on wood. What's in your name? He asked. My mother, I said. My sister, every blister on my palms. He nodded. Then don't hand it over. Marco, I started and had to stop. Love is a stubborn thing. It has bad timing and worse aim. My phone buzzed again. A tag in a video. Kira and CO launched tonight. The camera panned across the truck, the new font, Kira's white smile. In the comments, customers asked, "Where's Auntie Layla?" Someone replied, "Taking a break." It wasn't my hand on that keyboard. The universe must have ears, because that's when my phone rang with a number from the city and a voice that sounded like paper. "This is the health department," the woman said. "We're doing a routine update of owner certifications. The primary contact for Sultan's son is listed as Ms. Layla Rahman. That you?" I stared at the bar's wall where Henry's wife's painting of a fish swims forever in the same bowl. "Yes," I said, because it was and it wasn't. "That's me." "Great," she said. "We need your updated safe food handler card and proof of your annual training. If you're no longer operating, we can suspend the license until you reinstate." My mouth opened, closed, suspend. "It's standard if the listed operator is inactive," she said. "It keeps the license clean. You hold it. Up to you. Up to me." 2 words I hadn't felt the weight of in a long time. After I hung up, I sat perfectly still for a moment. Then I opened my ledger to the front inside cover. There, in my messy script, was a photocopy I'd taped years ago and forgotten. A tiny trademark stamp for Sunspice, done at a lawyer's insistence the week Samira died. We never did much with it. Looking at that stamp, my hands stopped shaking. When people tell you to be silent and grateful, remember your ink. I didn't sleep. I made a list instead. In the morning, I walked to the Civic Center and sat across from a clerk with chipped nail polish and kind eyes and said, "I'm here to update my file." I handed over my ID. My renewed food handler card the one. I keep current because old habits hold end. I signed a line where it said, "Primary operator." Then I signed a line that said "Suspension requests, voluntary, pending reinstatement. Just for now," I told the clerk. She nodded like a woman who has seen wars and bake sales. "Just for now," she echoed. "Suspension notices go out by email and paper. The paper one would arrive later. The email would land in their inbox that afternoon." I walked home lighter and heavier at the same time. Then I opened my ledger, slid out the manila envelope in the back pocket, and took out the letter I'd read once and put away because it cut to clean. It was Samira's, written 3 days before the stroke. "Layla," it said in her looping hand, "if my body goes before yours, the truck and the recipes are yours. Please keep feeding our people. If Marco wants the kitchen, teach him. If you want something else, bless him and make him a plate anyway. But our name belongs to you." People write letters like that when they've seen the inside of life's last room. I held it a long time. Then I put the letter in my bag like a blade I hoped I wouldn't need at 4:12 p.m. My phone filled with messages from the city. "License suspended pending primary operator update." From Marco, "Auntie, what did you do?" From Kira, "This is wildly unprofessional. We need to discuss your exit package." From 3 regulars, "They're closed, Auntie. The sign says, 'Unforeseen circumstances.' You okay?" Unforeseen circumstances. That's one way to say the cook woke up the next morning. I unlocked a door nobody remembered existed. The blue side door of the church hall 2 blocks east. The one with a kitchen the size of a postage stamp and a stove that roared if you lit it wrong. I asked Pastor Jim for Sunday afternoons, and he handed me the keys without asking for money. "We owe you for 10 years of graduation trays," he said. "Feed people. We'll pass a hat for utilities." I made a sign with a marker and a piece of cardboard. Blue Door Sundays. Pay what you can. Bring a plate if you like. I posted it on my personal page, not on any brand account. I used no filters. I wrote, I'm here. The first Sunday, 3 people came, 2 of whom I'd raised. We ate at borrowed tables on church chairs and laughed until the pastor came to see what was funny. The second Sunday, 10 people came, then 20. Henry set up a coffee urn in the corner and pretended not to cry when he saw me hand a bowl to Mrs. Gonzalez, whose husband we fed while he was sick. A woman I didn't know slipped a 20 in the jar and said, I read the comments. I came to sit with the truth. People brought stories with their plates. A man who'd been in town a week said, somebody told me there's a dish that tastes like the ocean, but warm. That's ours, I said, and ladled Samira's soup into his bowl. On the third Sunday, a kid from my old line came in, hat in hand. They're not paying us, he said, eyes on the floor. Kira says, the licensed drama tanked bookings. My mom said call you. Wash your hands, I said, and handed him a knife by Wednesday. I had 5 ex-Kira line cooks working for volunteer tips and pocket change until I had something to pay them with. I taught them how to coax sweetness from onions with patience instead of sugar. How to taste for salt with your wrist and not your tongue. At the end of each day, we divided the bills in the jar and ignored the coin clatter. It's a start, I said. They nodded and went home to their rented rooms, a little less scared. Somewhere in there, a reporter came. She took pictures of my old hands and didn't ask me to pretend I was. 35. She wrote a headline that made me laugh and then weep when I saw strangers sharing it at 68. Auntie Lila opens a blue door the city didn't know I didn't need it. Kira sent me a cease and desist through a lawyer whose photo on the website looked like he flossed in his sleep. It said I was infringing on trade dress and proprietary spice formulas. Made tea. Then I took the trademark stamp out of my ledger and sent back a single page with 2 lines. Sunspice registration #XXXXX. Owner Layla Rahman. ICCD. A lawyer my friend Alma found me through her cousin's cousin. And CCD'd the city for good measure. They went quiet for 3 days. On day 4, a letter came that wasn't from a lawyer. It was from the man who owned the lot where our truck had parked since the beginning, a retired roofer named Mr. Diaz, who pretended he was mean and hid candy in his desk drawer for after he pretended to be mean. I heard there's a fight, he wrote. The parking permit's in your name, Layla. It always has been. Use it if you want. Back in. Or don't. Just tell me so I can stop chewing my nails. I walked back to the lot and laid my palm on the weathered fence. The truck sat there, closed, as if it had gone to sleep in the middle of a sentence. I measured my breath and knocked on the service door of Mr. Diaz's office. He let me in with a grunt and a hug, which is exactly my favorite kind of welcome. I don't want to evict anyone, I told him. I want to cook, but I won't be erased. He slid a key across the desk, the one with the tiny chili pepper keychain I'd given him when he refused to take money for letting us plug in the truck during a storm. Then go cook, he said, and tell your nephew to come talk to me like a man, not a voicemail. An hour later, the lot was a circus. Kira arrived with a ring light and a jaw clenched so hard I could hear it. Marco followed, eyes red, hands in pockets. Auntie, he started. I'm not your auntie when we're talking about permits, I said, and then I softened, because you can tell the truth and still be kind. But I am always your family, and family doesn't lock each other out. We could have screamed. We didn't. We signed papers in the back office where Mr. Diaz keeps a framed photo of his late wife and a cactus that could murder you if you leaned wrong. We moved the truck out for inspection. We found mouse droppings behind a panel and a broken seal on the cold line. We called the inspector ourselves. When she came and saw who had made the call, her eyebrows rose into her hairline. "Not every day my phone rings with the operator turning herself in," she said dryly. "Let's clean this up." We cleaned until our hands were raw. Kira wore gloves so delicate I wanted to hand her a scrub brush just to watch the throw. She left halfway through with a reason with a hand on her forehead. I let her go. I'm old. I have better things to spend my blood sugar on than watching a woman pretend. She doesn't know what elbow grease is. Paperwork followed. It always does. 3 days later, we had a reopened permit and a date for a hearing with the small business mediator. Because for all that my food is old world, my paper is immaculate. The mediator wore comfortable shoes and looked like she'd seen every version of every fight and learned calm as a weapon. We sat at a table with a bowl of hard candies in the center like a peace offering. Kira's lawyer started to speak. The mediator held up a hand. "We're starting with the license holder," she said, and nodded at me. I slid the trademark registration across the table. Then I slid Samira's letter. Then I slid 3 emails Kira had sent to a franchise aggregator, promising full rights to existing recipes and brand in exchange for seed expansion capital. The emails were attached to contracts with my name signature in a hand that was not mine. The room went very quiet, the kind of quiet you can feel. Marco's eyes flew to the contracts, then to me, then to Kira. "You told me you had Auntie's blessing," he said, voice small. Kira's lawyer leaned in and whispered, but it was late for whispering. The mediator looked at me. "Miss Ramon, what do you want?" I should have said money, or vengeance, or something that would look good on a spreadsheet. What I wanted was both simpler and heavier. "I want my name back where it belongs," I said. "I want the right to feed people without being told my age is bad optics. I want a kitchen where nobody makes my girls feel small. And I want the boy I helped raise to look me in the eye and tell me the truth." Kira stood, gathered her stack of sleek papers, and left without a word. She did not look back. The mediator drafted an agreement before lunchtime. I retained sole rights to the son, spice name, and recipes. The truck lease and permits reverted fully to me. Kira's company surrendered any claim in exchange for us not pressing charges on the forgery. I didn't do it for her. I did it because court would have eaten time I needed for onions. Marco said nothing for a long time. Finally, he said, I chose the loudest voice in the room. "I'm sorry. If you let me, I'll start washing dishes and work up. Sometimes love is hands, not words. There's a sink," I said, "and there's a list. You can start there, and every time you think about skipping one, think about your mother's name on that truck and ask yourself if she'd want streaks on our plates." We reopened the truck on a Saturday morning with no DJ and no bouncy castle and no 10-foot letters spelling anything. I hung a hand-painted sign that said Blue Door Collective and screwed the little Sunspice plaque above the window. I put the tip jar on the edge like always. Henry came with a bell and rang it until I told him if he didn't stop, I'd put him in the back to chop parsley. We hired back the line cooks at better pay than I could. Technically afford and found 2 more from the church social. Carmen, who can cut a sliver of garlic so thin it turns translucent in the pan, and Misha, who learned to make dumplings in her grandmother's lap and can fold anything with her eyes closed. We all wore aprons with our names big enough for customers to read, and the words, "Our Kitchen," our rules stitched across the pocket. A year later, I'm sitting on a milk crate behind the truck because my chair broke and the milk crate doesn't fuss. The spice line we bottled with a young woman who runs a tiny co-packing operation in the valley is on 2 grocery shelves and 3 corners, where bodega owners call me chef and sneak me candy bars. We run a Sunday class called Blue Door School, where I teach women my age how to make a dish for 30 with the same patience you use to make it for 3. We pay our people first, then we pay the gas man, then we worry about the rest. People ask if Marco and I are okay. I tell the truth. We're cooking. Some days we burn the rice and start over. Some days we carry the plates like holy things. He came to me last week and said, "Auntie Layla again, I pitch a menu idea." He waited for me to say yes before he showed me the page. It was clean. His hands didn't shake. I said yes because boundaries aren't walls. They're doors with locks you have the key to. Sometimes I still dream of the night the letters came down and the new ones went up. In the dream, I tear them down with my hands. In real life, the wind peeled one corner last month, and I stood on a ladder and fixed it because the truck was busy and people were hungry, and life sometimes lets you be tender where you want it to be hard. If you stayed with me to the end, thank you. If this story found the place in you that remembers a name on a door or a smell in a kitchen that raised you, give this video a like and tell me where you're listening from. And if someone ever tells you you're bad optics, take a breath, pick up your own keys, and open the door with your name on it. The people who know the taste of your cooking will come. They always do.